start in Ethiopia, though, where both the African Union and the US say that diplomatically there is a small window of opportunity to try to end the fighting. The UN is warning that the risk of the country spiralling into a widening civil war is only too real. In the past 48 hours, there's been a diplomatic flurry of activity. The African Union Special Envoy, former Nigerian President Obasanjo, has travelled to Ethiopia and has been briefing the Security Council about his talks.
The ongoing conflict situation continues to have severe humanitarian consequences on the population, with huge impact on socio-economic development and stability. The time is now for collective actions in finding lasting solutions to avoid further escalation of the situation, which may have direct effect on the strategic Horn of Africa region as a whole.
The military conflict has so far led to at least 2 million people being displaced. So what is happening diplomatically? Zecharias Zelalem is a journalist with a focus on Ethiopian affairs, joins us now. Up until now, both sides have very firmly said, we'll talk to them once we've defeated them. It's been a very much all or nothing kind of thing. Is there any evidence, or how much evidence are we seeing for some kind of reaching out between the two sides?
Yes, you are correct to say that over the course of the past 12 months, that's 12 months of horrific atrocities and very fierce fighting. Both warring factions, in particular the Ethiopian government, rebuffed efforts and calls from the international community to solve things through dialogue and roundtable talks. So through the African Union's envoy, former Nigerian President Obasanjo, we have the first official third-party representative to have made visits to both the Ethiopian government leadership and the leadership of the Tigray regional state. So one could say that this is the first indications of the opening of communications channels between the two that could possibly lead to an end to 1 year's worth of conflict.
There is, of course, the danger, isn't there, that diplomatic channels are used as a hedge while the business of rearming goes on. We see that quite often with both sides, to sort of oversimplify things, but with both sides having been so firmly set. Is there anything on the ground that would suggest that they might prefer diplomacy? What do we know of the military situation at the moment?
Well, the Ethiopian government's sort of, I guess, warming up to the possibility of a mediated settlement comes about a week or 2 weeks after some military setbacks that led to the loss of very key strategic cities of Dessie and Kombolcha. And it's those losses that brought the rebel factions closer to the capital city than ever before. So this probably played a key role in coercing the Ethiopian government to give roundtable talks a chance. And but as you said, there is the possibility, of course, of things spiraling out of control. We do have large swaths of the war-impacted areas without communications, without phone or internet services. So fresh breakouts of hostilities, which are underreported, of course, by the international media, could lead to the exacerbation of the conflict, and of course to the breakdown of any preliminary stage peace talks.
And when we're talking about the channel of conversation, would we say that most hopes would reside with the AU? I mean, we heard Obasanjo speaking there, former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Is that the most fruitful place to look, do you think?
Yes, well, for the time being, the United States, despite U.S. envoy Jeffrey Feltman currently being in Addis Ababa, the U.S. is seen by the Ethiopian government as having taken a side, whereas even as being a sympathizer of the Tigrayan regional government, and as such, their more robust approach, which saw them slap the Ethiopian government with sanctions, has them seen more as a biased member of the international community, and thus the role as a third-party mediator might be compromised. And this is from the Ethiopian government's point of view. Both sides have warmed up to the idea of the African Union taking the lion's share of responsibility of resolving this as a third-party member. And thus far, both warring factions have indicated that at least the first step, the first stage, has gone by well, and both have appeared to indicate a willingness of some sort to at least proceed. And of course, that's a massive step forward, and it's compared to a year's worth of saber rattling and open defiance of one side of the other. It's some reason for some very cautious optimism, if you will.
It is very important development potentially. Zacharias Zelalem, many thanks indeed.